Rani, I have just watched Mrs. Chatterjee versus Norway, and I'm going through so many emotions. Well done for accepting such a challenging role and telling a heartbreaking story based on a real life incident. How would you describe this film to Australia that is embracing cultural diversity every day?
So it is a very, very important conversation in the film about embracing cultural people, like different cultures. It's about talking about diversity. It's also about embracing diversity. It's also about embracing people who are like immigrants from different cultures and letting them live the way they want to in a setup which is not really something that might be very similar to what that country stands for. You see? So
Absolutely.
yeah, so it's an important film that raises that awareness. It's a film that talks about families who have been living abroad for so many years but have never spoken about this, the things that they deal with on a day-to-day basis. Maybe what we as Indians get to read about Indians abroad is that they're having a wonderful life.
You're
What
correct.
we don't hear and see is what are the challenges that they're living with day in and day out. What happens when they're raising children? What happens with the cultural beliefs and differences that they have to deal with on a day-to-day basis? Because there's a complete dichotomy as to what you are born and brought up with. So you don't want to be away from your cultural roots. You want to stay connected to your roots. At the same time, you want to embrace another culture and another country as well. And it's always a kind of a inner fight.
Amalgamation about the cultures.
And that's the fight that keeps happening, because sometimes one takes over the other. One feeling gets even more. So I think it's a film that has started this conversation. It's also started a conversation about how an immigrant Indian family was treated in a faraway land outside of India, and the injustice that happened with that family vis-a-vis this mother and her two little children.
Yeah.
And on basis of what? Cultural difference of how a mother raises a kid inside her own house. So I think these are things which I think when I got to hear about it in 2001, when I was offered this film, it blew my mind, because I was like, are you serious? It can't be true. This is ridiculous. It can't be true. Why would an authority come and take somebody's children because of the cultural beliefs that a person is living with? And then I Googled the case, because I didn't believe my producer when he told me about this case. And when I Google searched, I realized that in 2011, not very far back, just a few years back, this case was brought in public domain by the Indian media in a very extensive way. The Indian media spoke about this case very extensively. The case was spoken about in Parliament, in Indian Parliament. The case was also spoken about by a lot of important leaders and the government of India at that point of time. And it made a lot of difference culturally between both the countries. A lot of exchange had happened. So what baffled me was the fact that, being an Indian citizen, I didn't know about this case till 2021, when this film was brought to me. And I realized that even though the case was spoken about, not many people knew about this case. Not many people knew about this. And that is what shocked me about this case. And that's when I decided that I need to be part of this film. I need to raise awareness towards this issue about this case, because it's not over yet. There are still many families who are battling this. And not only from India, there are different nationality people, different families from different countries who are living in other countries are battling this separation, that they're dealing with. And nobody is giving them a ear, and I'm just hoping that with this film, there is some kind of positive conversation that starts, and children are reunited with their parents.
I hope for the same. Nobody should ever go through what kind of, heartbreaking story she went through. Rani, as a versatile actress, a mother, and a Bengali, I actually couldn't have thought about anyone else who could have done this role. But what did your heart say to you when you were offered this role?
So it was something like it became part of my being. It just kind of seeped into my soul, and I couldn't separate myself from this character. She was a character that I needed to play on screen. Let me put it like that. It was a film that I said, this character is something that is not leaving me even in the night. When I'm sleeping, I'm thinking about this subject, this story, this family, this mother. I'm thinking about a battle. I'm thinking about how she would have dealt with that 2 years being separated from her kids. What went in, what strength, how did she derive this strength? And the only person that came closest in resemblance to this character was my mom. Because I'm raised by a Bengali mom who is from West Bengal, who's raised in West Bengal. This character, Sagarika, who's a real life character, she's raised in West Bengal. And there's a lot of similarity between my mom and her. Like the way my mom talks, even today after being married in Bombay for 50 years, she's still so much a Bengali. She's so connected to her roots. When she speaks in English, she speaks in broken English. When she speaks in Hindi, she still has a broken Hindi. And there's a lot of Bengaliness in the way she still speaks, And that's the essence of people from West Bengal. And that's the way they speak. I've seen so many of my aunts and uncles and all of them speak in that way, And for me, that was truly special for me to imbibe for Devika's character because I wanted authenticity with this film. Like we took a deliberate
come across.
effort to make the film feel very authentic. So when a picture is shown to a global audience, they see the film for what it is truly. It is not trying to be any other film, but the film that it needs to stay true to, It's a very authentic portrayal of the story.
I 100% agree. And just touching upon that point, the challenges faced by your character is actually from any immigrant story and a story that many immigrants can resonate with. So when you're saying that you want an international audience to see this film, will you be taking this film to any international film festivals?
That actually is the call of the producers. And I'm hoping and keeping my fingers crossed that they do the same. But it's important that films like this are seen abroad, not only because of what we're trying to say, but also to understand that every family from every different part of the world comes with their own cultural beliefs, and one needs to understand it and accept it rather than fight it.
No, you're right. When you say fight it, you are a fighter, Rani. You've always been fearless in accepting roles, be it Black, Hayram, Veer Zara, Mardani, or Hichki. So what drives you to tell such fearless stories?
I think being a woman, being an Indian woman, I think it drives me to tell stories about strong Indian women, to represent Indian women on the global platform and tell people around the world that this is who we are as Indian. This is what an Indian woman is. She's a woman who can show strength, passion, compassion, love, kindness. She has lots of shades in her, and that's very important for people across the world to know that when you talk about Indian women, don't underestimate an Indian woman ever. Because you never know what she's capable of.
Talking about, the stories that you want to present. So after our historic win at the Oscars, what kind of stories would you like to bring to an international audience?
Stories like this to start with. I think this is one story that should be shown to a global audience. I'm sure people in America would really appreciate this film because America always talks about diversity, about the different cultural beliefs. So many people coming to make America their home who have different backgrounds and states that they come from, different cultures that they come from, and they all want to live under one roof. And Australia is like that. Singapore is like that. There's so many countries in the world. India is like that. It's very cosmopolitan feel, where different cultures come under one particular place and they all live happily. you know, and there's always a talk about embracing each one's culture and embracing each one's identity and loving it and living with it, you know. So a film like this, such a subject like this would, I think, be very well seen, I think, abroad.
Yeah, and well accepted also. Rani,
Yes.
just as a question, I so respect you for keeping away from social media in today's world. But if you had an Instagram account, what would be your bio? How would you describe yourself?
I think I would describe myself as a daughter, mother, sister, professional, global citizen, artist, creative person. Like, there would be so many things attached to my name. A friend, a loyalist, yeah, thinker. There's so many adjectives that I can add to my personality, because I truly believe that women are truly special, and I'm really lucky to be born as a woman in this life of mine.
Yeah, and we love you for as you are. Thank you so much, Rani, for taking our time today and sending you lots of love from Sydney. We're waiting for your next visit. It's been a long
All
time.
I need you to do in Sydney is spread the word about Mrs. Chatterjee versus Norway. It's a film that needs all the love.
No, definitely. And happy birthday for Tuesday. Your birthday's coming up also.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.